So I know on this channel, a lot of you are accustomed to seeing Fridays being focused around wrestling content, whether it be this new wrestling commentaries bit I'm doing, or even in the old days, EBCW. But today we're covering something just a little bit different. And what that is one of my favorite times in the world of sports. Now, I have a couple of times where it's like, it's my favorite time in all of sports. The World Series, if the Yankees are in, the Super Bowl, the World Cup, the Stanley Cup Finals, all that stuff. But probably one of my favorite of all, or my favorite amongst all of them, is March Madness. Now, as many of you guys know, last year we were robbed of the tournament just days, or if not weeks, before the actual tournament was taking place. But this year, thankfully, things have calmed down with the Rona, and they're actually doing a pretty good job doing the tournament thus far. Now, at the point of this recording, we're just past the second round, so now we are in the round of Sweet 16, which means the last 16 remaining teams are going to duke it out. Then we go to the Elite Eight, then the Final Four, and then eventually the Finals. And I gotta say, man, this has been shaping up to be one of, if not the most bizarre and most entertaining of all tournaments I've seen in the many years I followed, March Madness. Now, as many of you know, I like to make a bracket. I have made videos in the past about me, making brackets and who my picks are and all this jazz. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did the best I could, but I did not take into account the amount of upsets we were going to have this year. There have been so many upsets in the first and second round that I don't think it's even been possible before. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I mean, first of all, who could have thought that Ohio State would have shit the bed the way that they did? I mean, let's be honest. It's borderline insane. I mean, who the fuck is Oral Roberts? And holy crap, they're still pulling out all of the stops. I mean, Oral Roberts, they just beat Florida too. A 15 seed not only beats a 2 seed, but then they beat the 7 seed in Florida as well, which, let's be honest, if you watched Florida's first game against Virginia Tech, you could probably tell that, they could be beaten. And I think Oral Roberts definitely did a great job of exposing the further weaknesses that Florida had, and it was a lot of fun to watch that game. Just another fantastic upset. Loyola Chicago is once again making headlines. I mean, who could forget their unforgettable run a few years ago? I'm not sure if it was the year before, not last year, but I'm not sure if it was the year before last year or the year before that, where they had this epic run. The likes of which no one had ever thought they would achieve. Even myself, who, let's be honest, at one point they actually busted one of my last remaining brackets that I had, and I was so upset. I went on Twitter, I went on Instagram, I was like, man, who the fuck is Loyola Chicago, and why did they just ruin my bracket? That's literally the gist of the Instagram post and Twitter posts or whatever I had those years ago. I was so depressed. I remember where I was when that happened. I was in a Taco Bell about to get some food because I was being a fat fuck for that day. And I thought to myself, and I was reading the scores, and I was watching the games on my phone while I was waiting for my order. And this is when you can sit inside Taco Bell and eat, by the way, as if that's like a foreign concept now. And I was like, oh no. Oh no. And then Loyola beat, I don't know who they were playing. I'm not sure who it was at the time, but Loyola beat whoever they beat, and I was just in shock, and I was sad, and I was really pissed off that day. But hey, man, I got no beef with Loyola Chicago now. We're both cool, and I hope they do pretty well in this tournament. Oregon State has been doing a great job. Hell, what was the game? When Oral Roberts beat Ohio State, I thought to myself, well, I mean, my brackets are busted now, because that was the last. I had a couple of remaining brackets, and 3 of them picked Ohio State. Actually, all of them picked Ohio State. but I had 3 remaining because I lost earlier in the day. So I was like, okay, Ohio State is gonna. If Ohio State loses this, I'm screwed. But lo and behold, Tennessee and their infinite fucking bullshittery, the fucking Hicks down there, they lost to Oregon State. So either way, had Ohio not have lost, I would have been out of the tournament in another 40-45 minutes, because that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess. Sometimes I just got screwed over. You live to fight another year for the $1 billion bracket, or however much money you get for that thing. Which, as far as I know now, no perfect brackets remain. So, whew, that's tough. But I don't know, man. I just love all these upsets happening this year. Even Rutgers, man. No one thought Rutgers was gonna fucking win, and they almost beat Houston, but they choked. They choked so hard in like the last 5-10 minutes of that game, and I was so fucking angry. I was like, God damn it! You were the last remaining, or one of the last remaining East Coast schools, like New Jersey schools, because Rider wasn't gonna make it. Iona fucking went in because they're in the MAC, but Rider wasn't gonna make it. Which, for those of you who don't know, Rider was my old college. They had some pretty solid runs to get into the March Madness tournament throughout the course of me being at that school, but they choked every single time. And you would think that, with a couple of basketball players, because I know who they were in my classes a lot of the time, you would think these basketball players would, with all the ego they carried, you think they'd actually would back it up. Meanwhile, they're choking literally every fucking year when they start to get good. And there's some hype build around them. So, I mean, it's just one of those. I just love watching Rider get exposed, whether it's in the MAC tournament or whether if they ever get to the main tournament, which is March Madness. I just want to see them get exposed, because I always had a grudge against the basketball team for how fucking stupid they were and how useless they were in classes when I would unfortunately have them as groups for a project. But that's a different story for a different time. And what's the other team I wanted to talk about from the first round that I felt bad that they got eliminated now, but I gotta look it up here. Abilene Christian. I don't know who the fuck. Another team that's like, who the fuck is Loyola Chicago? Who the fuck is Abilene Christian? And here I am watching them play this masterclass game against Texas, who, let's be honest, no one. I thought I had high hopes for Texas. My dad, when I were watching the game, and he's just cussing at the game the whole time because he hates Texas's coach. He thinks they're overrated and stuff like that. So this is what I'm hearing for the better part of the whole game. It's like, oh, how this coach sucks and blah blah blah. And when they actually lost, it was one of the funniest things ever, because he's like, yep, I was right. You proved my point. And yeah, the guy on Texas, the coach, looks like a absolute dweeb, if I'm being honest. I very much enjoyed him getting beaten because just how much of a dweeb he looks like. He looks like one of those guys where it's like, oh yeah, I have all this knowledge, I can definitely coach a game. And he got beat horribly by I don't even know what seed they were. I can't find it because I'm looking at the official bracket right now, but I just can't find it. It was just funny. It was funny to watch. They were a 3-seed Texas. I found it now. And they got beat by 14-seed Abilene Christian by 1 point, and all because Texas could not make like a single decent shot the whole game, or towards the end of that game. It was just sad to watch. And the second round has been just as equally enjoyable. I really have enjoyed the second round. Of course, Abilene Christian got eliminated, unfortunately. Oral Roberts, where's Oral Roberts? I think they got beat, or they're still actually moving on. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, they're moving on. 15 seed facing Arkansas, man. I don't know about that game. It's tough. I will say this much, though. My pick to win is Gonzaga. I know how, when the 1 seed faces a 16 seed, it's always like, oh, they're facing the shittiest team. It's not going to prove anything. But upsets have happened in the past, so I think that argument's irrelevant. But the point I'm trying to make is this. When Gonzaga faced Norfolk State in the first round, I saw how this team played, and I was just like, oh my god. These guys are like probably the most well-oiled machine of the tournament based on what I've been watching. Not to say others aren't, but when you watch so many games, you see that you see the way they play stand out to you, which is just insane. My picks in the tournament are my pick to win the tournament is Gonzaga, but I have a feeling that Baylor can just as well win, even Michigan. If I'm being honest, I think Michigan's still in the tournament. It's just intense, man. I can't wait. I just can't wait for the final. I can't wait for the Sweet 16. I can't wait for the Elite Eight and the Final Four, and eventually the finals, man. It's gonna be it's been such a good year of college basketball, or such a good tournament of college basketball that it makes me giddy. It really just makes me giddy considering we haven't seen it in so long. But anyway, guys, that's my commentary on March Madness and how crazy everything has been. I know it's a little bit jumbled up and a little bit everywhere, but with a tournament like March Madness, it's bound to be crazy. I'll see you all on the next one. Have a good day.